Story number 1. The Haunting at Willowbrook House. The rain poured relentlessly outside Willowbrook House as Sarah, a young woman seeking solitude, sat by the fireplace. She had heard tales of this old, isolated mansion, but she was drawn to its enigmatic charm. The room was dimly lit, and the shadows danced on the walls. As Sarah gazed into the flames, she heard faint whispers carried by the wind. She couldn't discern the words, but they sent shivers down her spine. The clock on the wall chimed, echoing eerily through the empty house. Sarah felt a sudden chill in the air as the room darkened further. She could sense a presence, something watching her. Sarah's heart raced as she cautiously explored the house. The whispers grew louder, the voices more insistent. She followed them up the creaking stairs to an old locked door. With trembling hands, she found a rusty key and unlocked the door. Inside, she discovered a room filled with old portraits. The faces in the paintings seemed to come alive, their eyes following her every move. Terrified, Sarah ran back downstairs, but the whispers pursued her. They echoed in her mind, haunting her every thought. She couldn't escape the feeling that she was not alone. In a panic, Sarah tried to leave the house, but the front door wouldn't budge. She was trapped. The whispers grew louder, more malevolent. She knew she had to confront whatever haunted Willowbrook House. She returned to the room with the portraits, determined to unravel the mystery. As she examined the paintings, she noticed a figure in one of them, a woman who bore a striking resemblance to herself. Suddenly, the room grew colder, and the woman in the portrait stepped out of the frame. She looked at Sarah with hollow eyes, whispering, "You shouldn't have come here." Sarah's scream echoed through the mansion as the ghostly figure advanced. She was trapped in a nightmare at Willowbrook House, where the past and present collided in a chilling, timeless tale. Story number 2. The Vanishing Campers. Deep in the heart of the forest, a group of friends set up camp for the weekend. The air was crisp, and the fire crackled under the starry sky. As the night wore on, the friends shared stories around the campfire. Suddenly, they heard a rustling in the bushes. They brushed it off as an animal, but unease settled in. The rustling grew louder, and a cold breeze swept through the campsite. The friends felt a strange presence, as though they were being watched. In the morning, they discovered that one of their friends had vanished without a trace. His tent was empty, and there were no signs of struggle. Panic set in as they realized they were not alone. They searched the woods for their missing friend, but found only eerie silence. Days turned into weeks, and more campers disappeared. The once thriving forest now held an aura of dread. The group decided to leave, but they found themselves trapped in a never-ending loop. No matter which direction they took, they returned to the same campsite. Desperation drove them to set up a bonfire, hoping for help. But the flames danced unnaturally, forming eerie shapes in the night. As the last camper vanished into thin air, the forest fell silent. The only sound was the chilling laughter of an unseen entity. Story number 3. The Midnight Train. The small town of Ravenswood was known for its peaceful streets and friendly residents. But every night, as the clock struck midnight, an eerie event unfolded. As the townspeople slept, the old train station came to life. The midnight train, a spectral locomotive, chugged to life on its own. It glided silently through the town, its windows aglow with an unnatural light. Anyone who saw the midnight train was never the same again. They would stare out their windows, transfixed as the train passed by. Then, they would vanish without a trace, leaving behind only empty homes and memories. One night, a curious traveler named James arrived in Ravenswood. He had heard the tales of the midnight train and was determined to uncover the truth. He waited patiently at the train station, camera in hand, as the clock struck midnight. The station was enveloped in an eerie silence, broken only by the distant hooting of an owl. Then, it happened. The midnight train pulled into the station, its spectral form materializing before his eyes. James snapped a photo, capturing the otherworldly sight. As the train passed, he resisted the urge to look out the window. Instead, he took a deep breath and boarded the train, determined to uncover its secrets. The interior was filled with a dim, blue light that seemed to seep into his very soul. He made his way through the empty carriages, searching for answers. Finally, he reached the conductor's compartment. Inside, he found an old, weathered journal. As he flipped through its pages, he learned the tragic truth of the midnight train. Decades ago, the train had been a regular passenger service, carrying people to and from Ravenswood. But one fateful night, it derailed, claiming the lives of all on board. The train's conductor, a man named Elias, had been consumed by guilt over the accident. In a fit of madness, he made a dark pact to keep the train running, ferrying lost souls to the afterlife. As James read the journal, he heard a haunting melody, a mournful tune that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the train. It was the song of the lost souls, trapped in eternal torment. Determined to end their suffering, James sought out Elias's spirit. He found him in the conductor's compartment, a spectral figure trapped in a never-ending cycle of guilt and despair. With compassion in his heart, James convinced Elias to release the lost souls and find peace himself. As the first rays of dawn broke, the midnight train faded away, leaving behind only the memory of its haunting melody. From that day on, Ravenswood was free from the curse of the midnight train. The townspeople could sleep peacefully, knowing that the lost souls had finally found their way home.